So, Sadnansi, the episode with love, secrets, and a giant terrifying spider. Wait, the first two parts is pretty much every episode this season, but the giant terrifying spider, that's this episode. Also, today is my 22nd birthday, so happy birthday to me. Feel free to type happy birthday in the comments. But anyway, now let's get into the episode. So the episode starts with a flash forward to the end of the episode with Marinette pulling Gabriel's letter out of her yo-yo and talking about it with Tiki, which I originally thought this part was taking place right at the end of the pre-credits scene at the end of Heart Fixer, where she put the letter in her yo-yo, but it isn't. Also, she de-transformed without saying spots off. So does one of the perks of not having a de-transformation time limit having the ability to transform back without saying the de-transformation phrase? Or is that an error and the writers just forgot to include that? Anyway, Marinette says in order to be in a healthy relationship with Adrian, she has to give him the letter that says his father Gabe was a supervillain who put the world in danger to bring back his wife. And Adrian will discover the peacock Miraculous when it was still broken was not only the way he was conceived, but the real cause of his mother's illness. But there's still the other problem of how she's gonna explain to Adrian as Ladybug, who was at his house in Lady Chaos and totally wasn't an illusion for an interview, that not only did she lie to him and the entire world about Gabriel for months, but the fact she destroyed the evidence of anything and everything relating to Gabriel being Monarch. And Marinette admits she can't be in a relationship built on lies. So the course of action she decides to take is to break up with Adrian. Which I just realized, in Gang of Secrets in Season 4, Marinette broke up with Alia and her friends because she was trying to keep her Ladybug and her being the Guardian identity secret, and they got akumatized because of her blow up at them. And that ended with Marinette telling her secret identity to Alia, which lightened the load on her, and Alia didn't think much of it, or take it the wrong way. It was more like, oh, that makes sense. And now that I know, I can help you more. So is the way this is gonna end is Marinette is gonna tell Adrian about the letter, but it's gonna end the opposite way? The Cat Blanc world destroying way? Or since Adrian knows his father was shit and finds out he was Monarch, he's gonna think nothing of it? Though I'm leaning towards the former, considering the reason Gabe died in the first place was because of Cat Noir's cataclysm, which would also pile on the trauma now that I think about it, since when Adrian battled Mr. Agrest, he cataclysmed the statue's arm like Monarch's. And yeah, both of those times it was by accident, but Adrian didn't know Monarch and his father are one and the same. After the intro, we flash back to the actual beginning of the episode in the school cafeteria, with Alia's sister Nora and her friend Twig making breakfast specials for Marinette and the others. Acai seasonal fruit skewers topped with crunchy granola. God, I'm in love with the food this season, it looks so good. But now I will go on a little side tangent asking why did they make Twig's voice so deep in the English dub? In the French dub, he sounds like this.
Bien joué, Brandy.
Oh, j'ai pas fait grand-chose.
Oh, vous formez un joli couple tous les...
But in the English dub, he sounds like this.
Nice job, Twig!
Oh, well, I didn't do much.
You really make an awesome couple!
Also, I had to change his name from Brandy to Twig in the rest of my script, after seeing they changed his name in the English dub, so thanks for that episode. Anyway, Nino thinks Nora and Twig make an awesome couple, but Nora gets defensive about it, and they walk to their table. To which Alia says Nora doesn't want to hear a peep about love since her ex Kooky, who we got introduced to in Transmission in Season 5, and yes, they did make up at the end of the episode thanks to Scarabella and Kitty Noir. But I guess what we didn't see since then was he's been toxic to Nora and they broke up. But they can clearly see Twig is nothing like Kooky. He's kind to her but shy, and Marinette is sure Nora likes him too. To which Alia says Twig supports Nora outside of work in various activities, and Nora actually tolerates him. But Alia thinks Nora will never say she's in love, and doesn't think she's aware of her own feelings. Which from what we've seen of Nora in the past, yeah, that makes sense. Also, Nora, please do not smooth your brain out like Kim when it comes to love. Be better than him. Please, I'm begging you. Anyway, Marinette brings up the concept of cook fu, like Nora and Twig were doing earlier, combining kung fu with cooking. And that Nora is going to Shanghai to study it with Marinette's Uncle Wang for a year. To which she panics and says Nora can't leave without confessing her feelings to Twig first. And Marinette decides to put together a game of fib or no fib, which I swear is a play on another game I don't remember the name of off the top of my head. The point is, it's a game to help Nora and Twig confess their feelings to each other, but Marinette and the others need to get their attention. So Nino and Adrian start off, and we discover Nino is afraid of cotton candy, since to him it looks deceptive because it has no face. To which Nora actually comes to them wondering what they're doing, and Marinette says they're playing fib or no fib to get to know each other better, and asking Nora to play, to which she refuses, thinking it's the most cringiest game ever. Until Marinette says it's a game played in Shanghai, and that her Uncle Wang will most likely want to play with Nora, and she decides to play. But since the game totally requires an even number of players, Marinette invites Twig to play too, At first he's nervous, saying he's not done cleaning, until Nora convinces him to play, saying Marinette won't leave them alone about it, and then he decides to play. And now it's Marinette and Alia's turn, and Marinette thinks she's gonna win because she already knows everything about Alia. But I guess not everything, since we now discover Nora is Alia's half-sister, and she never mentioned it before because Nora is just her sister to her, which I guess makes sense. But how many times are they gonna do this sudden half-sibling thing? First there was Zoe being Chloe's half-sister, Noe being I think both of their half-brother, and now Nora being Alia's half-sister. Anyway, now it's Nora and Twig's turn, and he tells Nora he likes her. She thinks it's a fib, and he obviously denies it, and she freezes in shock, and Marinette swaps the cards. Now it's Nora's turn to say something to Twig, and Nora says they'll never be together, and Twig says it's a fib, and he actually gets it correct. And they all smile as Marinette leaves, pushing her friends out the cafeteria to give Nora and Twig some alone time, as they start acting weird around each other. But later in art class, after a cotton candy tease between Alia and Nino, Adrien asked Marinette if she ever got a chance to work on his father's portrait, like he asked her to do at the end of Lady Chaos. You know, the portrait that totally highlights Gabriel as a good father and person, when he really wasn't. But Marinette says she hasn't gotten a chance to work on it, aka she's trying to avoid doing it. So she lies, saying she had a badminton practice yesterday, which is why she didn't get a chance to work on it, which catches the attention of Alia, knowing she's lying about something with the various lies she's telling Adrien, about suddenly taking up various activities, trying to come up with any excuse not to work on the portrait of Gabe. And the goat Alia, no, not that goat, although he is great too. Anyway, she confronts Marinette on why she's lying to Adrien so much, since Marinette was with her yesterday playing video games. And Marinette says she can't draw the portrait of Gabe that Adrien asked of him, because she's afraid he'll take it the wrong way and get disappointed. And actually, this goes back to what I said earlier about the letter. So is the way this is gonna end is Marinette is gonna tell Adrien about the letter, but it's gonna end the opposite way, the Cat Blanc world-destroying way? And Alia rightfully says 5 minutes ago Marinette was willing to help Nora and Twig out with their shyness on love. And now because she's afraid of disappointing Adrien, she decides to lie to him? With Marinette saying at least Nino and Alia can tell each other everything, but Marinette just can't do that with Adrien. And I like how she says this but gave Miraculouses to her classmates, who by the way, most of them are in a relationship with another member of her team. No, think about it, there's 16 of them including Bunnix, but not counting Lady Noir, with 12 of them in a relationship with each other or close to being in one. Hell, Nathaniel and Mark told each other their identities behind Ladybug's back in The Ruler. And there's two ways Marinette takes this, either she gets pissed off and takes their Miraculouses away, or is completely understandable about it and lets them keep their Miraculous. Alia, thinking Marinette is talking about the burden of lying to Adrien about being Ladybug, doesn't get what that has to do with Gabe's portrait she's refusing to draw, and Marinette tries to get Alia to drop the whole conversation. And Alia, not knowing what lie Marinette got herself into, gives her an ultimatum. Either Marinette decides to be honest with Adrien and tell him the secret, or him eventually finding out on his own and realizing she betrayed him on top of lying. And Marinette cries into Alia's arms, saying it's too hard. Later at home, Marinette is trying to work on a nice portrait of Gabe, and as she draws him with different faces, she gets more angry with him for essentially making her keep this secret of making sure Adrien never finds out about the villain that he was. Instead, that he remembers the times Gabe tried to be a good father. Anyway, she argues with herself on whether or not she should reveal the truth about Gabriel to Adrien, bringing up all the points. That because of this lie, she can't have a simple, loving relationship with Adrien without lying to him. The fact his father terrorized Paris as 3 different aliases for a year behind his back is now being praised as a hero because of her. And Marinette brings up how Gabe was always so controlling of Adrien, both literally and figuratively. And through her frustration, she finally draws a nice portrait of Gabe, with her wondering if a nice version of him even existed in the first place. With her hallucinating the portrait of Gabe talking to her, saying of course he existed. He was the man who wanted to do everything to have a child with the woman he loved. The father who traveled the world looking for the peacock Miraculous to make it happen. The father who was crushed when the mother of his son became ill after using it. The father who became Hawkmoth to resurrect the woman he loved, and to give Adrien back the mother he deserved. With her hallucination of him basically saying they are one and the same, like Marinette said to him in Recreation.
Then we both want the same thing. We want Adrien to be happy.
With Marinette breaking down, not wanting to be like him, and not wanting to lie to Adrien anymore. With with her Gabe hallucination saying yes, a lie can be a heavy one to keep secret, but the truth can only become one if she talks. And if she loves him, she'll find the strength to lie. With Marinette crying on the portrait, ruining it, she finally rips it up out of rage. And meanwhile, outside, she sees Nora now akumatized into Sadnansi, wreaking havoc by spitting webs on people, turning them into her slaves, that can also spit webs out of their mouths. And as Sadnansi said, no one will be heartbroken ever again, Marinette then thinks, what if Adrien is not ready to hear the truth? And what if he doesn't want to hear the truth? Also, fun fact, and I don't know if it was a mistranslation at first, but on the Miraculous 2 website when the French dub with English subtitles released, Marinette said damn in the English subtitles, and I just found that funny. Anyway, she transforms to get to the fight, and this fight is with the Core 4, Ladybug, Cat Noir, Carapace, and Rena Rouge. And let's just fast forward this fight. They all get their moment to shine. Ladybug discovers the akumatized object is in one of Sadnansi's hands. Carapace handles distracting her. Rena bluffs, throwing illusions of Twig off the Eiffel Tower. Sadnansi drops the akumatized object to try and catch him, and Cat Noir cataclysms it, turning Nora back to normal, and Ladybug casts the Miraculous Ladybug, reversing the damage. And after the fight, Twig explains how Nora got akumatized. Basically, Nora was sad and upset cause now she knows Twig likes her, and now that she's leaving for Shanghai, she's gonna miss him a lot. And not wanting to think about that, she sadly blows him off. And Twig gives her what I think is a paper rose to remember him by, and say sorry for confessing his feelings. And then Nora, through her sadness, got akumatized into Sadnansi. And after the explanation, Twig and Nora reconcile, with Twig saying he can call and visit Nora in Shanghai anytime. And Ladybug gives Nora the magical charm, saying, some truths are hard to hear, but must be told. Your love had the courage to be sincere, with Ladybug walking away softly crying. And after the group pound it, we finally get to the end of the episode that the beginning flash forwarded to, with her and Tiki talking about the letter. And Marinette goes to Adrien's house to break up with him, going into his room and cries, with her saying she loves him, with Adrien hugging her back. And that's how the episode ends, end card and all. Did she tell him? Did she not? We'll find out next episode. Probably. And now we get to the pre-credits scene, where Alia is simulating different scenarios with her illusions on how the final fight in the Agreste mansion really went down, with her trying to figure out what Marinette is hiding cause her story doesn't make sense. That Marinette can't draw the portrait of Gabe because the secret has to do with him and Monarch, with Alia connecting all of this to the day Gabe died. But one way or another, Alia will figure out the truth. But I do have a question, and this is gonna sound a little nitpicky, but how does Alia not only know what the damage looked like in the Agreste mansion to simulate this scenario, you know, besides the huge cataclysm crater in the floor leading down to the crypt basement, but also know what Bug Noir looks like, since the only people who know of that form's existence is Alex, Natalie, Adrien, Kagami, Gorilla, and possibly Lila. Alia was nowhere near the Agreste mansion, and when Marinette does her press conference in the London special, it's as Ladybug. Anyway, the episode was great since now Alia is gonna discover Gabe was Monarch, and most likely will get pissed off at her again just like in Revelator. But anyway, those are just my thoughts. You can tell me yours in the comments. Anyway, bye bye and happy birthday to me.